Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Anthony Burek with OTAN, as Karen said. Again, welcome to this CAPE session on getting started with blended learning. So in the chat, I've posted a link to my Canvas course. So I actually don't have slides today. We're actually going to do our work today, and we are going to work. So hopefully you've had enough coffee or sustenance or whatever it is you need in the morning to get going. But we actually are going to do some work today in a Canvas course. This is a first for me. Maybe it's a first for y'all. So we will learn together. We will grow together as a community. But that's my goal, is to be working in the Canvas course. So the first things first is, can you get to the Canvas course? That's the most important question at the moment. If you're having any trouble, let Karen and me know, and then we'll get you there. We'll get you to the Canvas course. Okay. When you click on the link to open up the Canvas course, you should see what I have up here on the screen at the moment. So here's our title, Getting Started with Blended Learning. And then for those of you who aren't familiar with Canvas or other learning management systems, basically these are the activities, the pages and activities that we're going to work through today. So they're all kind of in a row. We're going to go linearly through it, but we're going to go into a lot of activities and such. So this is our plan. So hopefully, if you're still having trouble getting to the Canvas course, or if you need the link to the Canvas course, please pop that in request in the chat, and we'll take care of you as well. By the way, back on my page description for this session, so getting started with blended learning. So I have also added the link to the course down at the very bottom of the page. So after today, if you need to come back to the Canvas course, grab your notes, or if you want to share the information with your colleagues, the link for that Canvas course is right there. Okay. And for those of you who are familiar with Canvas or know a little bit about Canvas, so actually in Canvas, you have the option of creating what's known as a public course. So this is a public course in air quotes. And basically that allows anybody to come into the course. You don't need to enroll like as a student. You don't need a license, a Canvas license or a Canvas seat. This is a public course. Anybody can come into the public course. So the one thing about the public course to know is that it's sort of the freemium version of Canvas. So you can't, it's not the full robust version of Canvas that some of us may be using back at our agencies, but it's pretty good. Like, it allows you to do a lot of things. So hopefully, as we work through the Canvas course today, you'll kind of get a sense of how you might, if you're using Canvas, or if you're thinking about using Canvas, or if you have the free Canvas account, you probably could set up a public course as well, and then you can do your trainings or your presentations or whatever your classes in this way. Okay, so let Karen and me know if you have any trouble with getting into the Canvas course. So what I would recommend is you can follow along with me, but I'm going to start with the first item here, description, agenda, and planning doc. So for getting started with blended learning today, basically, this is the description that I also included on the CAPE Summit site. So basically what we're talking about is ways that we can combine face-to-face and online teaching in blended learning environments. And the amount of face-to-face that you do, the amount of online that you do, totally depends upon like how you want to set it up, the model that you choose. It's really up to you. You have a lot of flexibility in creating blended learning environments. And we're going to talk about different models that you can sort of take a look at and use to set up a blended learning environment. There are a lot of models that are out there. Again, the balance between face-to-face and online totally depends upon the model that you choose. So our goal today really is for all of you to get a sense of like those different models that you might consider. And hopefully after today, you'll think about maybe experimenting with one of these models in your classroom, or perhaps for your program, or maybe even school-wide. So it's really kind of, up to you and your colleagues as to how you want to pursue blended learning. So here's our agenda. I'm just going to mention a little bit about OTAN in case you're not familiar with OTAN. Then we'll talk about kind of a definition for blended learning and really what to consider when you're getting started. And then we're going to spend a lot of time in the models or looking at the models today. We are going to use breakout rooms. I just want to give you like a heads up about that because I know like a lot of people, like you come into a session and then all of a sudden you're in a breakout room and you're like, what just happened, right? So I want to give you a heads up, like we are going to be in breakout rooms today. And then again, this is that bit.ly link, or if you go back to the Cape Summit site, you can come back to this Canvas course after today. Also, I want to give you, if you're interested in using like a planning document as we work through, our activities today, or even like when you go back to your agency. So I'm putting a copy of this blended learning planning doc from our colleagues at the EdTech Center at World Ed back in Boston. I'm providing a link to that. So if you click on that link, here's a copy of the blended learning planning doc. And so I think it's about 3 pages or so. So the best thing to do is go to File, and then it's a Google Doc. So go to File and make a copy, and then you can have your own copy for editing and sharing with your colleagues and things like that. But this might be a good resource for you, as you're getting started thinking about blended learning, and really kind of thinking about it in a very comprehensive way. Like I mean, you could sort of look at the different models and sort of like, well, we're going to try this one or that one or the other thing. But I do feel like you're going to be a lot more successful if you do spend some time kind of looking at the different components of this planning doc. Like, and we'll talk about, for example, challenges. We'll talk about what or who, and then we'll kind of dive into some different models. But really, like thinking about or going about the process in a really kind of comprehensive way, I think is going to, which we haven't had the luxury of the last couple of years. Like we haven't had the luxury of sitting around and reviewing different models and sort of contemplating and all that. It's been basically trial by fire the last couple of years. So now that we're coming out of the pandemic, I do think we have a lot more opportunity to really be a lot more thoughtful in our planning and our selection for different blended learning models. So this document's available to you. Okay, so let's go to the next page. So just a word about OTAN. Some of you might be familiar with OTAN. For those of you who are not, so OTAN is one of 3 state leadership projects for adult education in California. I think all 3 of us have been here at the Cape Summit. The first one is CalPro. The second one is CASAS, and then the third state leadership project is OTAN. We focus on technology training and how to effectively apply technology in the classroom, in your programs, at your school sites. As you can see on the screen here, we do a lot of different things, and we have a lot of different resources that are freely available for the adult education field in California. So first step, if you're not familiar with our website, please go to our website, otan.us. Give us a call. You can email us. More than happy to provide information for you and follow up with you after today's conference. Okay, so the next thing that I'd like you to do is hopefully everybody has navigated to this page for the entrance ticket. So if you could just take a minute to go through the entrance ticket and answer the questions. So we have 4 questions here. What is your role at your agency? Question 2, what comes to mind when you hear the term blended learning? Good, bad, otherwise? Number 3, does your agency offer blended learning options for students currently? Yes, no, or not sure. And number 4, what is one thing that you hope to gain from today's session? And then when you fill out the exit ticket, you can go ahead and submit. And then in a minute, we'll take a look at your responses. And for those of you, if you've just come into the session, I'm putting a link to this Canvas course in the chat. So go ahead and open up the link, and then you can navigate to entrance ticket page. And let Karen or me know if you have any questions about that or if you're having trouble. Okay, good. At least one person has figured it out. Fantastic. That was Karen. Karen says, it's me, Anthony, it's me. I got it figured out. As you're working on this, this is a Microsoft form, which is the Microsoft equivalent of a Google form. So basically, we're just filling out a form here. And if you're having any trouble with the form or getting to the course, it's a small group right now. So if you want to come on mic or pop your questions or comments in the chat, that'd be great. Looks like folks are filling it out. Fantastic. Yes, I will say one thing too. If you aren't familiar with Microsoft Forms, so you may have noticed when you were filling out the form here that in there's this little icon here. It looks like an open book with a speaker in front of it. So this is a tool in Microsoft products called Immersive Reader. And if you click on the Immersive Reader, it will read the words that you see on the screen. And I think I have my sound enabled. Let me play it.
CAEP Summit Blended Learning. Please answer the following questions as we get started with our session.
Okay, and then the way we have this immersive reader set up on the form is that the immersive reader will actually read the different questions individually, as well as the responses. So, for those of you in ESL, for those of you with, beginning AVE students, you might consider using a Microsoft form, just because it gives the student the opportunity to hear the words that they're reading on the screen. So. Yeah, and Ivan, yeah, thank you. Actually, you do have some options in terms of the settings for the voice. So you could make it a female voice, you could make it a male voice. You can also adjust the adjust the speed of the reading as well. So you have a little bit of flexibility with that of Immersive Reader. And Immersive Reader actually is a tool that shows up in the different Microsoft products. So for example, like you can use an Immersive Reader with a Word doc, or PowerPoint slides, or the form that we just had here. I think it's in Excel as well, so it'll read the Excel cells too. So anyway, check it out. Okay, so let's see where we are at the moment. What's your role at your agency? So we have some teachers, welcome. We have some administrators, welcome. We have a few others. I'm always curious to know who the other people are, but welcome to everyone. Okay, so what comes to mind when you hear the term blended learning? So both in-person and online, in-person and online, available as different elements of the same class. Okay, good. Combination of learning, combination, lots of confusion. Okay, this is what I was kind of looking for, is kind of some of these subjective comments, right? Lots of confusion. Okay. Mix of online and in person. I've taught 100% online, 100% in person, but not blended yet. Okay, good. Fantastic. All right, let's move on to the next question. Does your agency offer blended learning options for students? So actually, the majority of you are. Fantastic, 75%. No, not sure. Okay, so that's great to see. Like for me personally, one of my concerns for our field is that coming out of the pandemic, that we're just going to go back to 100% in person. We're going to get rid of the online. We're going to get rid of the digital learning because we're going back to the familiar. We're craving the familiar at the moment. But I think, what I'm trying to suggest and encourage you to explore is really thinking about, okay, let's take what we've been learning the past couple of years and figure out how to keep that as a part of what we're offering at our school sites for our students, right? Ultimately, we want to benefit our students. We want to give our students options. And in my opinion, blended learning provides options for a wider range of students than if we were just only in person or if we were just only online, okay? I will try to stay off the soapbox, but I have a lot of opinions about this. So what's one thing you hope to gain from today's session? Okay, so how to start a blended learning, good. Tips on incorporating online and in-person instruction. Good. Just reviewing what Canvas looks like. Okay, well, welcome. Stockton, I think that's Carol. Hi, Carol. How to promote blended learning and other digital learning in my consortium. Good, right. So there are a lot of different models, right? So if nothing else, hopefully you'll have a sense that you have a lot of different choices. You have a lot of different options, okay? To learn what I don't know about blended learning, some more resources, ideas for incorporating technology for students to work, practice at home or outside of the class. Right, exactly. So yeah, we've learned, I mean, you know, trial by fire the last couple of years, but now, like I say, I think we can kind of step back and be a lot more intentional in terms of how we want to set up blended learning at our school site, okay? All right, perfect. All right, so thank you so much for that. So we're going to move on to the next page in the Canvas course. So, and if you haven't figured it out by now, so in Canvas, if you go to the very bottom of the page, you have this next button. You can also go to a previous page as well. So I'm just navigating by using the next button at the bottom of my Canvas page. Okay, so next, let's move on to just kind of a working definition of blended learning, okay? So this working definition, a teaching approach that has face-to-face class or tutorial integrated with online learning, and students, and this is the important part, students have some control, right? Emphasis on the students, not the teachers, not the school, not the administrators, not the support staff, the students, okay? So students have some control over the time, the place, the path, and or the pace of their learning, okay? And each of these is a complex item. So basically the time over the time. So, you know, again, depending on maybe how much time they're in the course, if they're only in the course for a short amount of time, for a long amount of time, what time of day. So here, there's kind of a focus on asynchronous versus synchronous time, right? So synchronous together, you know, in, you know, working with the teacher in a class during a class time versus asynchronous, which would be outside of that time schedule. The place, so basically whether you're in, you know, in a physical space or in a virtual space, or maybe in some combination of those. The path, so basically the path through the content, right? So you may have it set up in a certain way, but perhaps in a blended learning class, the student would have a lot of flexibility in terms of the direction for their learning, right? Maybe they need to go backwards, right? To review content that they didn't quite get the first time. Maybe they've got it all, maybe they're up to date and they want to move forward, you know, on their own, right? So they want to continue learning, but sort of like, you know, they want to get through the content quickly, for example. And then the pace, you know, again, depending on how slow or fast the student wants to work through the content. So blended learning provides options for students over these different components. And these components might be singular, they might be in combination, just kind of depends on the model. Okay, so what I'd like to do next is just have us take a look at a short video about blended learning and some of its benefits. So as we're watching the video, I just want you to think about a couple of questions as we're watching the video. So first question is, what is a benefit of blended learning that's mentioned in the video that you wonder about? And then two, and we're going to come back to this later, consider a program or instructional challenge at your agency, something that's kind of current for you right now, what's going on. So as you watch this video, are you encouraged or are you skeptical that blended learning could provide a solution to the challenge, right? I don't want to say that like blended learning is going to solve all our problems. I think that's for all of us to discover and figure out on our own. But sort of initially, how do you feel about blended learning? Okay. So let's watch this video. I'm going to start the video. Hopefully my sound will be on. Karen, let me know. We'll make it full screen too.
I'm on my computer a lot.
Email,
Google Docs,
Google Search,
Snapchat.
Technology has revolutionized our world. We can connect and learn
Photoshop.
and create and share. We have immediate, improved, and personalized access to the world.
Google.
Nothing in our modern lives remains untouched by this powerful transformation,
Instagram.
except for education. The big idea behind blended learning is combining online learning in brick-and-mortar schools with teachers where students can learn at their own pace so that they can optimize their individual learning.
Combining the best of teacher instruction and computer-based instruction.
The world that we live in today isn't about paper and pencil, it's about computers. Having our kids become comfortable and familiar with that now is going to better prepare them for the world when they leave this school.
Blended learning can actually personalize for every student's individual needs to meet them where they are when they need it.
We are doing students and ourselves a great disservice to assume they all learn in the same way. So we need something new, and that's blended learning.
When you walk into a blended learning school, what you'll see is small groups of students off with their computers working away on online learning programs, and another group of students in small groups doing rich interactive projects with each other and really collaborating as peers.
I'm able to now focus on smaller groups of kids, give them more individual attention, and help them with their individual learning styles.
They're not just stuck with a teacher in front of them, lecturing for hours. They get to move around in different clusters or learning by themselves.
Before, you're moving at the pace of the average of your 30 kids. Now you can really move at the pace of each individual student.
One of my problems is that I'll get bored because I'll be explaining something over and over again, and this gives me a way to continue to move forward.
If you use computers right, if you're doing blended learning right, you're making learning an active experience rather than a passive experience.
You can really tailor the instruction to students at their own pace. They're directing their own learning.
We learn how to learn from your mistakes and depend on yourself.
When they're able to critically think and feel like they're independent, they use that to propel themselves because now they're wanting it.
Once I started using blended learning, it really pushed me to have a more fluid, dynamic classroom, pushed me to be a better teacher.
The teacher has the opportunity to look at data in the moment, in the minute, to know where our kids are immediately, informs instruction in the next period or the next morning.
In a regular classroom, it might take a week for you to get your test back. I can take a test twice in one class, get my feedback almost instantly, and figure out what I need to improve on.
You can see your progress, what you need to work on.
It tells us our grades like that.
Study more, learn more.
They know if they're getting it or not, and if they're not getting it, they're taking more ownership. I'm spending a lot less of my time grading those quizzes and more of my time analyzing the data. I can see who gets it, who kind of gets it, and who really gets it.
To get immediate feedback for students and teachers is something that is unbelievably empowering and actually motivating.
It allows me to reflect more on data analysis. Looking at trends really helps me reflect on how I can be using my time wisely.
And parents have real-time access to what their kids are doing on a day-by-day basis.
To get my child's grades electronically, it's very important because I work every day.
Blended learning makes you in charge of your pathway, which is both deeply motivating, but incredibly important to then knowing how to navigate college, career, and make those decisions for yourself about what you need and when you need it.
And that's true learning and knowledge. It's when you're able to apply content into real life.
Blended learning is really the democratization of education. It allows a student, regardless of their geographic region, their socioeconomic status, to really get the education that they deserve or that they want. The sky's the limit.
We need to rethink education.
The opportunity to harness the power of technology to personalize for every student is just an opportunity that we cannot miss.
We had a low 500 API score. We're currently in the 730s.
It's transforming the way we teach.
Independence is really the game changer.
You can challenge yourself.
I've never seen my daughter this excited about learning.
This is 21st century learning.
All 50 million of America's students deserve the opportunity to have blended learning so that they can personalize their education and realize success in life.
50 million.
50 million
students.
50 million students.
50 million students.
50 million students. 50 million students.
50 million students in America.
In America.
50 million students in America.
Okay, so welcome back. And so I just want to make just a comment. I'm sure some of us have thought about this. So again, this blended learning video that we just saw focused on blended learning going on in K-12 environments, right? But I do feel like there's a lot of applicability to our adult education classrooms, the concepts that were discussed, the ideas about educating learners that were discussed in the video. So again, even though the focus was on the K-12 system, again, we always think in adult ed about how do we sort of customize it for our learners, right? For our adult learners. So that's an important consideration, right? To be thinking about, okay, what is blended learning going to look like for our adult learners? Okay, so does anyone have any sort of initial reactions that they want to share with the group about what they saw in the video? And you can come on mic or you can put it in the chat.
I was put off by everybody having a computer, and that's not the reality of my students. So that's just we've lived the 3 years on Zoom, but most of my students still communicate with the telephone. The device is the telephone and not the computer. So
okay, thank you, Patricia. Appreciate that. Anyone else? Initial reactions to the video, if you want to pop it in the chat as well. Ivan said in the chat, immediate feedback is powerful. Many of us old timers probably remember the days of waiting 2 weeks for feedback on a test, right? Exactly. Okay, any other initial reactions? Carol, also feedback is a powerful learning strategy. Great. Okay, anyone else? Just maybe one more reaction in the chat, or if you want to come on mic. Lexi, thank you. The evolution of differentiated learning. Great. Okay. All right. So I want to ask Patricia a question, but maybe I'll come back to it later. Good point. I teach in the city where the girls were doing classwork in a Taco Bell parking lot for the Wi-Fi side. Access is a problem. Yes. I'm not denying that device, access to devices and connectivity and data plans and all that are not an issue. They are definitely an issue. So maybe that's maybe back to this idea of the challenge. So it sounds like one of the big challenges is access to devices maybe outside of the classroom or access to Wi-Fi outside of the classroom. But what about within the classroom, right? So maybe that's an opportunity for a specific blended learning model that will work well when the students are physically in the space, right? And then we think about how do we accommodate the online, but that's part of your planning.
Anthony,
Okay.
I work at a branch.
You work at a satellite site, right, Patricia?
I work in a community. I work in a library classroom that was given to us, that's lent to us by the library. So there aren't any. I feel like I'm really negative, and I'm not, because I'm still really positive, because I think blended learning is a really important idea and a good idea. I'm just looking at some of the issues that when I'm looking at that video, that could be K through 12, but it's not the reality. It could be the reality if you're at the adult school, but I'm not at the adult school. I teach at a community site, and they aren't going to have, I don't think we're going to have computers. So.
Got it. Okay. Thank you, Patricia, for that information. Appreciate that. Right. So we have to. Right, we have to sort of make do with our environments, right? We may not have all the things available to us, so maybe those are the first issues to try to solve, before we kind of dive into the blended learning as well. Okay, so let's continue. So on the next Canvas page, called Some Considerations and Benefits. So again, when we're thinking about planning for blended learning, it really helps us to kind of do our homework initially. and sort of frame, what are the challenges that we're facing back at our agencies, right? So the question here is, what program or instructional challenge motivates you to consider a new or different practice or strategy? And could that be, could blended learning, one of the models, be an option to, address the challenge? One thing that you might consider in terms of characterizing the challenge is it a what challenge or is it a who challenge? So when we talk about what, this has to, one way to think about this is sort of like about the content, right? So maybe there's a lot of content to cover, or, maybe like in a GED class where, you have groups of students working on different pieces of content depending on the test that they're preparing for. So maybe your challenge has to do with like what is it that you're teaching, or what is it that you're working on currently? The other challenge is a who challenge, right? So I know that some of us at our adult schools have long waiting lists, or have waiting lists in general. It doesn't have to be long, it could be a short waiting list. So that's kind of a who challenge, right? You have a group of students who are not being served. They're sitting on a waiting list. They're waiting for an open seat wherever that seat might appear, whether it's online or in person. And so maybe the challenge is a who challenge. Maybe it's trying to serve, maybe we're talking more about the students directly. And that's kind of how we might characterize the challenge. So what I wanted to do was give you just a minute or two. So you can click on these links to learn a little bit more about the who or what challenge. And then I'd like you to sort of take a look at this list of the benefits and maybe just explore for a minute one of the benefits or two of the benefits that kind of stand out for you in terms of what blended learning might help you with, whether it's a what challenge or who challenge. So I'll give you a second for that. Let me give you maybe another minute just to kind of click on some of the links and do a quick review of the benefits here. And then we're going to take a poll in about a minute. So. Okay, so in the interest of time, what I'd like us to do now is at the very bottom of this Canvas page, which is the some considerations and benefits page. And I'm so sorry for if you hear my dogs barking in the background. The squirrels are very active today. Rudy and Indy, those are our dogs at home here. So if you can go ahead and click on this link for the poll, we're going to do a quick poll about these considerations and benefits. So I'm going to switch over to, we're using a tool called Poll Everywhere. And I'm going to ask you two questions here. Let me activate this, turn this on right now and present. So the first question, once you've had a chance to, you can put in a nickname or not, or you can just skip that first step. But the first question I have for you is, do you feel like the challenge you're facing at the moment is a what challenge or a who challenge? Let's just kind of get a sense of what's going on in the room at the moment. Okay, it's sort of even at the moment. Some people, about 50% of folks feel like they're facing a what challenge currently, and about 50% of the folks feel like they're facing a who challenge currently. I heard about, I went to, I was attending another conference about a month ago or so on blended learning, and I really like this kind of frame for blended. I think it really helps us, because we're doing a lot of, back at our agencies, we're doing a lot of like self-study and PLC work and communities of practice work. And I know that you're looking at data, you're looking at different things that are going on at the school. And I think that you probably, if you're doing that work, you probably have a sense of, are the challenges that you're facing, what challenges or who challenges or some combination of the two. So yeah, I think it's I find it to be a very helpful frame for, thinking about the issue. All right, my screen is a little, go to the next one here. Okay, so next question, second question is we're going to do a ranking so the question is or the activity here is to rank these benefits. So the 7 benefits that we just saw on the Canvas page by relevancy and addressing your who or what challenge. So the way that this works is you click on one of the features, and then on the left side, you should see an up or down arrow, or up and down arrow. So in that way, you can sort of rank from most important or most relevant to least relevant, 1 through 7. And then you can go ahead and submit, and we'll see what happens here. Give you a second to figure that out. If you're having trouble with that, just let us know. Although it probably takes a minute to kind of move things around, so. Let's see if anyone has figured it out yet. So Rhonda, are you in the poll at the moment? Not in the poll. Okay, let me get the link to that. 1 second. Actually, let's switch out of here. Oh, it's right here at the top. Pollev.com. Okay. Okay, Rhonda, if you click on that link in the chat, that should get you to the poll. Oh. Oh, maybe I didn't activate it. Sorry, maybe that's the issue. Let's try that now. And let me know if you're having trouble trying this activity. I don't always use this ranking in Poll Everywhere, so folks might be having it in trouble. And you found it in Canvas, great. There we go. Ah, something happened now and the poll is not accessible. I have it activated. Let me just double check.
Anthony, this is Ryan.
Hey, Ryan.
When you went back to troubleshoot for Rhonda, it shut it off for the rest of us taking the poll.
Okay, let's try this again.
But then it came back on, and we had to redo our answers.
Okay, sorry. How about now?
It's there.
Thank you. Thanks, Ryan.
You're welcome.
My mistake. User error. Sorry. Okay.
What do I get for submitting my answers 3 times now, Anthony?
Ryan, let me know your address. The check will be in the mail.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, sorry about that, folks, but it looks like I think you're figuring it out. So that's okay. So I think we've got it figured out. Okay, sorry about that. So, and thanks, Ryan, for pointing that out. Okay, good. So this is the way that this ranking question works in Poll Everywhere. You can see it's a kind of a dynamic activity here. And so at the moment, looks like, first of all, blended learning enables learners, blended learning enables learners to review course content, okay? So to me, that's kind of a what challenge, right? So the what here is the course content, right? And so we're figuring out, you know, if we can't just give students one opportunity to learn the content, like whether it's in person or online, like we actually have to give them multiple opportunities, right? We know, you know, those of us who work in ESL, for example, know the value of having students being able to go back and watch videos, slow down the pace, slow down the speed, read the closed captioning, ... BL is more, blended learning is more effective than only face-to-face or only online, okay? This might be more of a who challenge, right? Because so our learners either, if they only have the option to come online, or sorry, come in person, or if they only have the option to join online, that, you know, they need more options. And if we can offer blended learning as an option for our students, for the who, to solve that who challenge, then it's going to be more effective for more students. You know, think about how that translates into gains, you know, MSGs and all that. So maybe that's more of a who challenge, okay? BL creates opportunities to build digital literacy, online learning skills, right? This might be more of a what challenge, like in terms of digital learning, digital skills, training as sort of a content that needs to be worked on with students. I might characterize that as more of a what challenge, okay? BL extends learning time on task for quicker progress, right? This might be a combination of both a who and a what, right? Because it's not only the access to the content and providing access to content for students, and if it's available and if they can work through it quickly, you know, that's might be a good option for them. That might be what they're looking for. It also it is a who challenge in a way because it's really kind of working on sort of the pace, right? So some students may need to go slower. Some students might want to go faster. So to me, that's more of a who challenge, you know, depending on the needs of the learner. So, okay, so let's stop this. Let's continue on. Sorry, there we go. Okay, but by the way, this is Poll Everywhere. This is a tool that I like to use for polls, surveys, things of that nature. So, okay, let's continue to the next one. Okay, so we're going to move on to a breakout session activity, Let me go back to our home page here. So here's what I'd like us to do. So Karen has set up some breakout rooms, right, Karen? Karen, are you still with us? Are you muted?
No, I had my thumb up. Yes, we're all ready to go. Hopefully, cross fingers.
Okay, so here's how we're going to work through this activity, the first breakout here. So you see this link for the breakout session 1 worksheets. So we're going to put you in one of 4 rooms, either a station rotation room, a lab rotation room, an individual rotation room, or a flipped classroom room. So these are 4 different models of blended learning. You may or may not be familiar with them. That's okay. On each of the pages, on each of the model pages, let's just look at station rotation for a second. So at the top of the page, you'll get sort of a quick definition, introduction to the model. You'll also get a visual representation of the model, okay? And then if you scroll down a little bit more, I do have a quick intro video here, depending on the model, that you can view. And then there's, to learn more, there's there are some articles, there are some additional videos here. So what I'd like you to do is, depending on the room, the breakout room that you're in, let me go back to the home for a second. So depending on the breakout room that you're in, you're going to be looking at one of these 4 pages, depending on the model that you're working on. And then on this breakout session 1 worksheets page, I have links to worksheets for each one of those 4 models, okay? And then hopefully this will work for you. So I have these worksheets in so we work in Microsoft at OTAN. So hopefully, no guarantee that all of you will be able to open it, but hopefully somebody in your group will be able to open it. It's a little, it's not as, anyway, it's not as kind of seamless as Google Docs, but hopefully it will work for you. So just go ahead and open up one of the worksheets. I'll open up the station rotation worksheet. There's a set of directions at the top here. So in your group, you're going to review your page, your Canvas page, and then I'd like you to discuss the following 3 items. So number 1, in your own words, write a short explanation of how this model works. Number 2, what are the advantages that you see with this model? And number 3, what are the challenges that you see with this model? Okay, and I'd like you to also consider your challenges, that you've been thinking about back at your agency. So either in your classroom, in your program, in your school-wide, whatever the case might be. I've suggested these group roles: facilitator, note taker, timekeeper, reporter. It would be great if your reporter could just, when we come back together, just for a minute, just say kind of, your takeaways from studying the model for a little bit of time. But those are the directions for the worksheet here, okay? So any questions about that before we go into the rooms? Any questions about what we're working on? Okay, hopefully a pretty savvy group. So Karen is going to put, so Karen, can we put, looks like we have about 10, 12 folks or so. Can we try to put like 3 people in each one of the rooms?
We have that's including both of us, Anthony. So I just went ahead and assigned, and then people swapped out. So I'll just go, I kind of assigned everybody, and then I'm ready to open the room when you are. Is that okay?
Let's do it. And let's do this activity for about 15 minutes. Okay. Karen, can you join? Let's see. Oh, okay, you're moving folks around. Good. Okay.
And then I just put you in a room because oh, Ryan didn't join. Ryan!
Yeah, actually there's some people in rooms by themselves. Let me go.
No. Oh, because here I'll move Carol with Flipped. Yeah, they're not joining. Okay.
Yeah, we'll wait for people. Yeah, we'll try to get people into rooms here.
So we don't have anyone in lab, and that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then Ivan, I'll move you as well. Looks like.
Yeah, why don't we put Ivan in?
I've already moved him. Unless you need me to move him again.
Well, he's in.
I just moved him to lab rotation.
Okay, but he's in station rotation at the moment. I see Ivan and I see Gomez.
Yeah, he has to rejoin. I just moved. He just has to click. Yeah. So that, oh, good. ESL, hi. And okay, let me move you as well. Hey, there we go.
Okay, let me join some of these rooms and just make sure that they're getting set. I'll start with the lab.
Thank you. Hello. Hello, Sophia. Alejandro. Everything good?
Yeah, I'm gonna check on one more room. Let me just see here. Let me join this room. Okay, I think we have folks on task at the moment.
Good.
Do you happen to know how long they've been in the rooms so far?
We have 8 minutes left, so about 7.
Okay, sounds good. All right.
Do you think they need more time?
Well, it's only 90 minutes. So, and this is my first time to try all of this. Like,
it's fabulous.
And, being in Canvas and the topic also. And so I always, this is one of my challenges is I'm too ambitious. I'm overly ambitious. Like I want to get too much done in the short amount of time. So
I really like it. I really love what you did. It gives me, I'm like, oh, good. Someday I'll get to do this. Yay.
Hopefully someday soon, right?
I hope so too. I love it.
Yeah.
I love what you did. I think it's the most interactive.
Well, good. Yeah. I just, finally, like it's finally hit me. Like I'm just tired of slides. Like I'm just tired of like making them. And it's, I'm in my session anyway. I'm sure you have experience with this too. Like I start with slides, but I'm all over the place. Like I'm going live, I'm doing polls, I'm doing this, that, the other thing. And it's not the most conducive. And like now we're landing in this Canvas, right? And so it's like, oh, well, what about just creating a Canvas course and kind of just working through the course?
I just think it's fabulous.
Good.
I love it. And I can't wait. I just can't.
Yeah.
So this is, I mean, I think it's working really well.
Okay. I have no sense as to, I mean, I guess if people are not like, frantic in the chat, like I guess it's going okay. Like
I mean,
they're navigating through it. So
the navigation part hasn't been where people left. They left right before, like right as the blended learning, all those options.
Right.
And I didn't know why they left, and we don't know. So
yeah,
we lost 2, but I don't think it's because of the Canvas access.
Right. I heard, they hear breakout room and they're like, oh my God, I don't want to do this.
I don't want to talk to people. I don't know. I mean, who knows? But
right.
I just love that you don't have to unshare to then do the poll and then get back into your slides, and then the sound might not work. I mean, it's cool.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Okay. So I'm just looking at the clock. So it's 11:30. So we probably have about 5 minutes or so.
Mm-hmm. I'm tracking at 5.
Okay. So why don't we, can you give them a 5-minute warning?
You bet. I think I gave him an 8-minute warning in the chat.
Okay.
But I can broadcast.
Yeah. Let's give them a 5-minute warning. And then when they come back, so we'll see if we can get quick share outs from the 3. We only have 3 groups in this case. But then we'll try to get quick share outs, and then we'll put them back in the same rooms. But I just want you to rename the rooms for, okay. So we're only going to have 3 rooms. So let's pick, let me go back
Anthony,
to the
that's a little harder to get all the people back in it because it erases everything. But I can take a screenshot. That's what I'll do. I'll take a phone shot.
Oh, it doesn't. I thought that if
No.
you don't change the rooms, it'll put them back in. No?
No, you have to. Well, I guess I could rename them.
Okay. So let's pick for the next 3. Let's pick the a la carte, well, the names of the rooms, the a la carte, the enriched virtual, and the HyFlex.
Got it.
Or maybe, hold on, maybe we should just pick Flex. Because then I can talk about HyFlex later.
I'm not looking at your Canvas because your poll is still on my screen,
okay.
so I can't see your Canvas.
Okay. Actually, that's you because I'm not sharing my screen. So why don't we? It's actually, sorry. Instead of the HyFlex, let's do the Flex, and I can mention HyFlex later in the no amount of time that I have at the end of the session.
You might want to tell people that they have to get back into their Canvas, exit out of the poll.
Well, no, actually, I saw them when I went into the rooms.
Okay.
They were already going back to the Canvas course, and they were sharing the screen with their partners and all that. So I think I think they got it figured out.
Okay, good. Okay.
Yeah. Actually,
Okay.
let me see if they're actually, if anything's showing up on the worksheets.
Okay, so you want
Station, so lab, let me see if, oh, good, they've got some comments. Good. They've got some comments on the lab. That's good. Let me see on the individual. Not yet, probably just, oh, no, they're in the doc. Okay. And the flipped, good, they have some comments. Perfect. Okay, good, so it worked. There's no guarantees with the, as you have been learning, there's no guarantees with the SharePoint / OneDrive sharing.
Oh, it's so frustrating.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm sorry, say again which ones you wanted. A la carte, enriched, and you want flex and not high flex?
Not high flex, yeah.
You're gonna have to keep the discussion rolling for a few.
Yeah, that's fine. No problem. Let me go back and share my screen. Can we give them, where are we on the timing and the breakouts at the moment?
1.5 minutes.
Yeah. Why don't we close the rooms, but I think it still gives them 60 seconds to finish up. Just because I want to give them some time for the
You got it.
you know, to look at the other one too.
No problem. All done.
Okay, great. Thank you. God, Rudy and Indy, geez, they've been barking all morning, the two of them.
You know what? You can hardly hear them.
Oh, good.
They haven't been an issue at all.
Okay, good.
Plus, if anyone has something against your dogs, sorry, you know, that's just their problem.
Right. They've actually been pretty good all week. I think the first thing I did, can't even remember the first thing I did. They were a little barky. Oh, it was our CDLC session. And I just did a quick intro in the beginning, but that's when they decided to bark.
Of course.
But otherwise, after that, they were okay. And actually, through the week, they've been pretty good. So.
Are they loving the outside? Oh, we have 5 seconds. We'll see you later.
Okay. Okay. Welcome back, friends. So I think folks are making their way back here. Okay, so hopefully you had a chance to have some good kind of initial discussions about some of the models. So I'm gonna ask, I don't think we had anybody in the station rotation room, but I'm gonna ask our friends who were in the lab rotation room. Could one of you just report on what just a quick kind of takeaway, what you learned about lab rotation and what you like about it or don't like about it or find challenging with it? If you want to come on, Mike. Any of our lab friends.
I'll talk. Yvonne did a great job of writing things down. Yeah, so we were looking at lab rotation, and I think we got the general idea of it. We thought it was, it allowed instructors to introduce material through direct instruction, or they could, if they needed to provide remediation and catch up for those students who, need a bit more time to, to gain that learning, or expand for those that are enriched or that are really quick on the uptake, right? Mm-hmm. And the labs provide a time for students to to work through that instruction through practice and through enhanced activities and exposure to different types of media, right? Mm-hmm. And the advantages that we saw is that the learning is less linear, point A to point B, bell to bell, even though that's kind of a catch word in secondary education. but less linear and more hypertextual. So the idea of hypertext, stemming, it's a media studies term, and it's basically knowledge can be approached from any point in, where you are, and you can still get the same knowledge, but you can do it in the order that you feel comfortable with and at your own pace, right? And then what challenges did we see? Well, there's staffing shortages, paraprofessionals. This model seems to rely a bit on paraprofessionals, and there is a shortage of those right now, just empirically and practically speaking. Also, planning may be more difficult, so there might be a bit more planning work on the front end of this. So that's kind of what we saw.
Great, thank you so much. And
thank you.
Yeah, and just to be clear, so when we talk, the lab refers to like a computer lab. So if you have access to a computer lab at your school site or wherever you might be working. So we're trying to get away from this model of just wholesale class going to the computer lab to do an activity together all at the same pace. We're trying to think about being more strategic about the use of a computer lab. And as Yvonne and Gomez learned, yeah, the teacher can work with a small group off on the side while another group of students are working at the lab, with a directed activity or at their own pace, or however you have it set up. So it's really kind of rethinking how you use the computer lab at your school if you happen to have one. Okay, thank you so much, guys. Let's move on to the individual rotation worksheet. I know that you were in the doc. Okay, good. Does somebody from the individual rotation want to just give us a quick rundown on what you covered?
Sorry, we kind of ran out of time with the
That's
typing.
okay. That's okay. That's okay. Go ahead.
Well, we, saw a lot of similarities with the centers approach that is used in elementary school. And actually, when I taught in elementary school, I had like the daily 5, which was kind of like centers, but it was totally student choice. So it wasn't teacher directed. This group does this group does this. It was, you had many different activities in the room, and the students really were independent in choosing what they wanted to do during that time block. And that seemed pretty much what this was. So it's great for students to be independent and choose what they want to work on. Teachers can, use that time to work with students one-on-one or in a small group. Yeah, I did it with the younger students, but I love daily 5 too. And then the challenges, I think also the planning and the prep time. For me, I have very limited time. I only get, very limited prep time that's paid. And so that might be my biggest challenge. Someone else in my group, if you have another challenge, go ahead and chime in.
No challenges. Pretty straightforward. Yeah.
Okay. I will say, I'm thinking back to Patricia's comment way back when about the lack of access to devices. And, you might consider, Patricia, something like a rotation model. And you don't even have to, like, typically in a rotation model, at least one of the stations is a tech station, right? Where students are sitting at devices or laptops or whatever, and they're doing like an online activity. But I suppose you could actually just set up like, centers and do a rotation model, but the students are working on different activities and there's no technology, right? That still would kind of be in the spirit of blended learning, right? Because in this case with the individual rotation, you're giving students the opportunity to sort of individually rotate through the stations. and go to the stations where they need like the most work, right? So you might consider sort of a variation of this kind of rotation model if you're not if you don't have that access to devices or Wi-Fi or whatever the case might be.
Anthony, I like that suggestion. Also, you know, we have our school pays for Burlington English. So when we were in class, I have my laptop, and we have students who have phones, not everybody, but some have Wi-Fi, you know, phones with internet, so that they could download the app, and actually we could do, you know, a Burlington English together. But if I send them home,
right, home's a
English, sometimes I can get them to do a Kahoot, but then there are other people who don't have any access at all. So
right. Yeah. Okay. Thanks,
but I
Patricia.
like your idea. Thank you.
Sure. Every so often I have a good idea, so I'm glad you found some value in it. Okay, let's talk about the flipped classroom. Does somebody from that group want to just give us a quick, what were your takeaways from studying the flipped classroom?
I'll let Shannon share what we discussed.
Okay, well, the flipped classroom is more of where a student would do more learning at home on a virtual platform. And once they get into the classroom, then there's a little more instructor involvement and feedback. And what we found as a benefit was it was kind of cool to watch the video because the students had their computers in front of them and they were doing their lesson. They can work at their own pace, but if they have a problem while in the classroom, they can actually just ask the instructor, and the instructor can work right where they are and help them through. So the whole class isn't stopped to answer one student's question. But on the flip side of that, that can also be a challenge because you might not have a computer at home, or you might have shoddy internet service. Or if you just even get stuck at home, then you're kind of stuck until you get into the classroom with the instructor to move forward. So that's kind of in a nutshell what we went over. Carol, do you want to add anything else?
No, thank you. I just think that we just need to remember that one size does not fit all, and when we're talking about where students are and what they have access to.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Carol and Shannon. So one thing you may be familiar with that's currently in the works at the moment is at the federal level, this Digital Equity Act. Just kind of talking about devices again, but basically the terms are being worked out among the states in terms of how much funding is going to get to the states and for what purposes. That's been going on throughout the summer into the fall. Fingers crossed, ideally, a lot of money is coming our way, right, to school districts and adult ed agencies for the purpose of working on better access, better connectivity, more devices in the hands of students. So it's really important right now what's going on at the federal level with Digital Equity Act. And in California, I believe it's being negotiated through an entity called the California Broadband Commission. They're the ones that are sort of have taken the lead on writing up the California State Plan for digital equity funding. So it's really, really, really important and sort of like a super timely. We're talking about trying to address a lot of these access issues. So that might be something that you might want to consider following into the fall and into 2023. So okay, great. Good. So we've learned about a couple of models. So I'm going to go back to our Canvas homepage here. So unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time. However, Karen, I want to send you back into the breakout rooms just for maybe about 8 minutes or so, 8 or 9 minutes. And so we're going to look at some more models here. The Flex model, a la carte, and enriched virtual. I think those are the 3 rooms we have set up at the moment. So Karen's going to send you to the room. You're going to meet with your partner again. And then you can take a look at one of these models.
And you said 8 minutes, right, Anthony?
Yeah, let's do about 8 minutes or so.
Okay. All right.
folks.
So then I'm gonna move. Okay, Ivana's on and Gomez. Okay, so everybody's on except for Alejandro. Oh, Alejandro's on. Yay. Okay.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Perfect. Okay, so we have 332.
All right, let me just make sure they're on task here. So give
All
me a
right. We've lost a whole bunch of people just now. You're muted.
Yeah. Carol told me that Shannon had to go, but she's working on her own, so that's fine. So let me go to the other two rooms.
Okay. Everything okay?
Yeah, I think let me just check on the last room here. Okay, I think everyone's on task, so.
Okay, cool.
So how are we gonna close this thing out? Gosh, yeah, I know I always want more time, but
I think that's a perfect introduction. Just keep that. You could take that anywhere now.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, maybe in the last few minutes, I just want to go over the resources. Just kind of give folks an orientation to that, and then for the remaining folks who can fill out the evaluation, that'd be great. And then we'll call it a day. I'm
gonna go ahead and put the valuation in the chat now. That way it's all ready to go.
Yeah. I know that Zoom has been working on the chat vis-a-vis the breakout. So
when they come, like at the end, I'm putting so I won't be able to put any links in or whatever, because I'll just have this valuation link ready to go when you tell me. How's that?
Okay. Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love this.
Actually, maybe when they come back in the rooms, why don't we post it then? And then we'll take the remaining 5 minutes just to close out any final questions, whatever. So.
Yeah. Okay. Great job. That was fabulous. My favorite.
Yeah, thanks. And people have been on task, which is always helpful too, right?
I mean, yeah, no, this is
not too much trouble getting around or being in the activities. So
Anthony, you'll be doing this for the next 10 years. This presentation.
Yeah, right. I mean, this is the heavy lift that's coming for us at OTAN.
Yeah.
So but it's good, at least in these small groups, people are open to it. Like they haven't completely shut the idea out. So.
Well, and I think you made it super approachable. I think the Canvas, the way you did it, it's just showing it and using it. And once you do that, it's I think you made it really comfortable too. So.
Yeah.
It's not like a whole course and okay, go do it.
Yeah, and I'm always working on if it were somebody else who organized it, they might organize it in a different way. So I'm always trying to think about what's going to be the easiest way to get through the content, right? How to navigate it all. So
right.
I mean, hopefully if people aren't having trouble, that's a good sign.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can we? Oh, there's Ryan. Do you want to give him a 2-minute warning?
Sure. I'm gonna assign Ryan to Flex.
Or does Ryan Ryan's our friend. Ryan, what's up? Do you want to stay in the room, Ryan, or oh no, he's gone. Bye.
Yeah, I already assigned him. Okay, 2-minute warning, you said?
Yeah, let's give him a 2-minute warning.
Or 2 minutes till closing. Warning sounds negative. I think Patricia was happy too, the way you brought her back in. I think you won her over.
Yeah, I mean, and she's not the only person facing this issue. So,
Absolutely.
Everybody in every context is facing this issue in a way, right?
Absolutely.
So it's really, yeah, we have to, you can't just brush it under the rug. Like you have to, think about how to make accommodations for it, right? And so if you don't have any devices at all in the room, but you can still like structure it in a way that's going to get at the spirit of it, and really more personalization, more pathways, more pace, more, everything. So
I'm going to close rooms and give them a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a total issue. Well, and even we found too, like during the pandemic, it's like even when you give people devices, they don't always know what to do with them too. It's like,
Yeah, right. It's not a cure-all, right? I mean, people need to understand how to use it, and the teachers need to understand how to use it, and then what's the connection between what the teachers are working on versus what the students are working on, and exactly. Oh, Ryan, you and your excuses.
Yeah, you're the only one seeing it. I pardon myself. I'm in and out, and I'm sorry.
No worries. Glad you're here.
No swag for you, Ryan.
Thank you. That'll be my bargaining chip there.
Anthony, I'm going to go ahead and post the link. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, I think we have. We're still waiting. I think for Yvonne and Gomez. Here they come back. Want to make sure everyone gets back to the room. And actually, let me go back to the Canvas course for a second. Okay, so I think we have most everyone back. Welcome back, everyone. Unfortunately, we only have a few minutes left, so we can't spend the time to kind of do our quick share outs. But hopefully, overall, hopefully what you're taking away is that there are a lot of different options that are out there in terms of models that you might consider back at your agencies. And I think it's even to the point, maybe not right now in your planning stages, but really maybe you even at some point in the future have sort of different models running in different programs at your school, even down at the classroom level, right? There's a lot of ways to kind of personalize it for your group of students in your class versus another group of students in another class versus what's going on in this program versus what's going on in that program. Really, there's a lot of flexibility here in terms of how to, start with the model, try it out, experiment with it, even sort of adapt it as needed, depending on your student population and what's going on in the classroom and all that. So if you have that kind of initial sense that there are a number of models that are out there, that's, for me, that's the most important takeaway from today for you. So we have a couple of minutes. Karen, I think, has posted the link to the evaluation in the chat. If you can go ahead and fill that out afterwards, that'd be great. I do just want to cover this last page in the Canvas course, which are these additional resources. So there's a lot out there about blended learning, right? And one thing too is hopefully more and more as we get more into blended learning in adult education, we'll have a lot more kind of adult education models and adult education experiences that we can share with blended learning. A lot of our know-how at the moment comes from K-12, but that's not to say that it's not a good, they're not good examples to follow or take a look at. We can always adapt them for our school sites and classrooms and student populations. That's really the point. But on our resources page here, I put some resources here that I've tried to make them a little bit more adult education oriented. So this first group of resources here, one of the things that we do at OTAN is we actually, provide resources for the adult education field. So I've tried to point out a few things that are more blended learning oriented that we currently have on our website. So this school year, we're trying to focus more in some of the articles that we provide for the field. We want to make a closer connection between blended learning and tools that you might be using in your classroom, or topics like using video, for example, sort of a broad topic, and how do you sort of incorporate video into blended learning environments. So these are some resources to get started with. One of the things that one of the opportunities that we offer in partnership with Essential Education is a free self-paced blended learning course. So there's a link to a page on our website where you can enroll in that course. I did discover yesterday, however, that I think we don't have the most current link yet. So we may need to go back to Essential Ed and get the correct link, but hopefully by next week, that'll be ready and you can enroll in that course if you would like. HyFlex is a hot topic right now. A lot of people have HyFlex on the brain. So I did want to give you a short list of resources devoted to learning more about HyFlex. And then these are some additional resources at the bottom of the page, again, with more of the adult education emphasis and how you might consider starting blended learning in an adult education environment versus, just borrowing from a K-12 or something like that. So more focus on adult education in this last set of resources here. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing. We are at noon. I know it's time for lunch. So thank you so much for coming to today's session. Hopefully you got something out of it today. If you could fill out the evaluation, that'd be great. And I didn't put my contact info or anything in the let me just put my email address in the chat, and if you want to reach out to me or any of us at OTAN, more than happy to talk with you about more training on blended learning, or other topics that you're looking at your agency that we can assist with. Just make sure to reach out to us. More than happy to chat with you about how we can partner on your training and professional development at your agency. So have a great lunch, have a great Friday, have a great weekend, and thanks so much for coming, and we will see you again. Yeah.
Happy Friday, all.
Happy
Thank you
Friday.
all.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Ryan.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. See ya. Okay. You ready for me to end?
Yes, go right ahead.
Nice work.
All right.